It's huge. This is the biggest zone we put into the game since launch. I think it's 40% larger than Orsinium, which was already a big zone. It's a little more alien. It's got a lot of insect-type creatures. It's not traditional Western fantasy. A lot of nostalgia, especially if you played Elder Scrolls 3. And the whole island is dominated by this huge volcano in the middle that's called Red Mountain. And I'm sure one or two of you know this, but Vvardenfell, the name of the island, is actually the Dunmer name for the mountain. So Red Mountain in Dunmer is Vvardenfell. So that's where that comes from. The mountain is huge. Over time, it erupts more and more. So when you play the game in Elder Scrolls 3, which is 700 years in the future, the island is even a little more destroyed because the volcano is so large. So there's lots of distinct what we call biomes, different ecological zones, ashlands, lush coastal farmland, jagged highlands, and this mountain, as you can see, I took this screenshot as I was playing on our dev server. Basically, anywhere you are in the zone, you turn around and look towards the middle of the island and you'll see the volcano. Sometimes it'll be erupting more, sometimes it'll be erupting less. The people of Vvardenfell, this has not changed since Elder Scrolls 3. There are 5 Dunmer houses, but only 3 of them are on Vvardenfell. The other 2 are on the mainland part of Morrowind. So we have Telvanni, Dressen, and Redoran. They are always not at war with each other, but always trying to get power from one another. Then we have the Ashlanders and the Morrid Tong. And these are the main factions that you'll be running across in the game. So there are discrete parts of the area that are dominated by each faction, and then there are quests for each one that kind of tell you more about the story of them and what they do and their history. And I'm going to go a little more in depth on the tribunal here. So Sothasil, Amalexi, and Vivek, they are very important to not only the story of ESO Morrowind and Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, but they are kind of the rulers of the whole things. And you actually meet them in game. You have already met Amalexia in the original game, and you will talk to Vivek and you will help him in the main story. A reminder, Sothasil at our time in lore is off exploring somewhere and he's disappeared for 200 years, but he'll be back. But you talk to Vivek, and the other thing people remember about Elder Scrolls 3 is the giant meteor that's hanging over Vivek City. It's called Bardal. In Elder Scrolls 3, it's actually been turned into the Ministry of Truth, which is kind of a slave colony. It is not that in our time frame. It has not yet been colonized, and it's just a big rock that's hanging over Vivek City. If you notice from the video, Vivek City is actually under construction at this time frame. It's not nearly as big as it is in Elder Scrolls 3. I think there were 9 islands called cantons in Elder Scrolls 3. We have 4 or 5, and then you'll see the others are under construction. The interesting thing is Bardal, the giant meteor, is hanging over the city, and Vivek has put it there as kind of a symbol of his power. And since in our story he's getting sicker and sicker, the meteor is actually falling towards Vivek City, and you actually see this over the course of the story. The meteor gets closer and closer and erupts in fire at some points, and at some points in the story the mountain starts to erupt as well, because Vivek is losing his power. And of course, everyone knows, being Elder Scrolls lore people, when Vivek dies, essentially, the rock, and he doesn't, of course, but when but he will, and I'll tell you when, the rock falls into the city, Red Mountain erupts. And for those who actually played all the way to the end of Skyrim and killed the dragon, probably don't know, but when the dragon dies, it fulfills a prophecy from long ago. This is, of course, 1,000 years after our game. And it actually causes Red Mountain to erupt, and the rock falls, and Vivek dies. So at the end of Skyrim, by killing the dragon, you are actually destroying Morrowind. So, and that's all in lore. It was in the novel that came out after Skyrim launched. So, but we're 1,000 years before that craziness happens. So to the player, Vvardenfell, new tutorial, new storyline. A lot of questions we've gotten already are, how does the Morrowind story work with the original ESO story? Basically, they are separate. So if you start the game as a new character in Morrowind, you won't get any of the Moloch Ball story that's in the original ESO. It's separate. You can play all the way to the end of the Morrowind storyline, and then when you go to the old part of the world, it'll kick off the Moloch Ball storyline. So you can do both at the same time. Think about it when you played Skyrim. There was the Dragon storyline and the Civil War storyline, and they were kind of both at the same time, and you could do one or the other. It's the same concept. New players are welcome. A new player can actually start right directly in Morrowind, but they can immediately travel out if they want, if they have friends out in the base game. It's up to them. Vvardenfell, I've talked about her a few times. She is kind of a beloved character in the base ESO. You run into her in the Ebonheart Pact. She is a Morriton assassin, and she requires your help in, I believe, in Mournhold in the storyline in the old game. So we used her as the player's guide to ESO Morrowind. So she leads you through the tutorial. She kind of teaches you a little bit about the house politics and who hates who. And she's really your guide to the beginning part of the game. And then she is the featured character in one of the main political storylines between the houses that wants the Morriton to assassinate different people. So she was in the video. She is also one of the main characters in the game, and she is the player's guide to Morrowind. So we made another video as we're starting to put together our whole video program for the next couple of months to release information. We put together kind of this video of outtakes of cool things that there in Vvardenfell, cool things that you'll see, Red Mountain, some monsters that we're putting into the game, and so just a kind of another peek into what we're doing. Yes, that was a giant mud crab that a whole city has been made out of, which was also in Elder Scrolls 3. It's a great story.